Expendables 4 in September. Raven Hunter is supposedly coming out in October. Supposedly. The Exorcist remake in October. The one I'm really looking forward to, Dune Part 2, November 3rd.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. The Hunger Games prequel comes out in November. No, that's not what I thought it was.
Hunger Games prequel?
Yeah. The Disney animated movie Wish comes out in November, so we're getting one Pixar and one Disney here.
That's not terrible.
The Wonka film, the one with Timothy Chalamet, it's like Wonka's like in its prequel. So it focuses on him and how he gets to it. Supposedly, the Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel comes out in December.
That'll be interesting to see.
And then Aquaman in December. That's all that's so far.
Cool. All right. Well, let's check that calendar. Hey, the cameras are on.
You got me, people.
Oh, hot mic.
Skimming and trimming the future of films. At least you can see what I'm looking forward to.
Yep. Looking forward to that. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. And salutation.
Welcome back for Scuba and The Ry. New studio setup. Finally, the little bits and pieces I've been waiting for are in there. So now we can start moving forward with content for 2020.
Onward, my liege.
So,
good to get it done. It's only been a couple weeks into January, so get it done.
It feels longer. It really does.
It does feel like it's been forever. It's only been 2 weeks.
I know, it's been 2 weeks, but in the 2 weeks because we did a show 2 weeks ago, and we this new table set up where we're sitting next to each other like we used to.
Yep.
Right, so it's a more centralized recording layout.
Oh, right here, people.
Since then, I've gotten our new overhead cam that can use on this table for making content. We've finished renovating the studio / office, because now it feels like an office. It doesn't feel like it's
open.
a closet / studio.
Over here.
The painting's done, the wire management's done, rearranged statues and stuff like that. And what? For those watching the podcast on YouTube, this might be cool. But for the audio peeps, you're gonna have to go check out the YouTube one or take a look for future content. But we're gonna flip over to the overhead cam.
Oh, snap.
And see, now we have this cool thing we can, do like product reviews and things. It's gonna be great. We just need some products to review. We'll get to that later. But if we pop up for here. See, I'm going to sit there and take the camera. We're going to pan around. Oh, there's me.
Say hi.
There's the Ry guy, and behind him is the collection of stuffs.
Back there, people.
Trying to manipulate it while it's sitting there and all that. So, but yeah, we rearranged all that, so now we can see all these wonderful collectible statues that are part of the studio. Did some rearranging on a few other things.
Yeah. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. Now we got Three's a company with the cameras.
Well, the nice thing is this camera is the new Insta360 Link. It's a 2K camera on its own gimbal. Yeah. So if I move over slightly and I raise my hand, flashes, and now it tracks my movement, which is really cool. But it's a 2K camera, so it can use that for capturing stuff, for doing miniatures and other projects. I actually have a project on the books right now. I did the prep work. I've got it. So tomorrow we'll start it and we'll film it to see how this new filming setup will go. It's a simple project.
Start simple, figure out the kinks, and then you'll get it ready for the next one.
What you would qualify as an IKEA hack. See, I got this drawer unit from IKEA, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stain it with some Minwax natural wood stain. And then I can use it for organizing some small tools and things like that. And I'm going to take the Adam Savage approach, and I'm going to make liners for each of the little boxes. So this is this weekend's project.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm already liking this new camera. I can sit there and do those kinds of weird. It's going to be great.
Great.
But let's go ahead and head back over to the other.
Yeah. Do the view.
Yeah.
There we go.
Awesome. So yeah, it's rearranged a few things, cleaned up a few things. We've got a nice row of coffee cups in the front here.
You know, keep it vibrant with the plethora of colors and geekdom over there.
Well, I got this really crazy. We're going to talk about D&D stuff, and I've got friends who know I do games. I'm
yes.
I'm semi-retired and running games right now.
Yep.
But I might be convinced for the right price or the right adventure. But
adventure people.
I got a cup from a friend. It's a coffee cup, and it says that this cup is filled with the tears of my players. I don't think I'm that bad.
I've seen videos, but then again, when you make weird decisions, weird outcomes do happen.
This is very true. This is very true. You make odd decisions and you have odd repercussions. But I think one of my favorites is the Father's Day cup I got last year. It was a custom cup. It's a picture of saying Happy Father's Day, human servant, and from your cats, and it's got like three of my cats on there, and they're all like doing a fist bump. It's very cool.
Fist bump. There you go, people.
Very cool. But yeah, that's been the majority of my last 2 weeks, has been getting this place cleaned, organized. I've got all kinds of new things on the walls to look at, so it's a really nice space.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, it's vibrant. It's got panache.
It's got panache, and there's room for more, and we're gonna have more, and it's organized. It feels productive. It's amazing how a space you can be in a space, and then how the energy of the space, and it's very weird, I know, but you think about where you're sitting and where you do your work, all of that, and you think about all those the what you can see, what you can feel, what you can smell. And it's amazing how that impacts your productivity.
Yep.
Like right now, I have with this new setup, I got one of those under desk elliptical things. I couldn't really use it in the old setup very efficiently. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah, you had a lot of stuff like right
now that I have my editing desk over there, I can sit there and I actually have it permanently set up to where as I'm sitting there, I can start doing the pedaling thing while I'm working. It doesn't feel like it's interfering with the rest of the room. And it's also amazing how you clear a bunch of stuff out, you start going through it. It's like, wow, really? This stuff sat here for years. I didn't know it till I moved it. But now and plus, tying everything together with a coat of paint really helps out too. But now the whole space feels tied together. It feels like, okay, if I'm over here, I'm doing a task. If I'm over there, I'm doing a task. It doesn't feel like I have to brush stuff aside to do one thing to the other and try to balance it all. And so it's very, very refreshing, so to speak. So, but anybody who's got a crafting area and a work area, it's like because I was telling people, it was like the way I'm trying to lay this out is I want this in that first order, in order of retrievability. Like if I'm going to work on a project, a thing on the table here, how quickly can I get to what I need, and then how quickly can I put it back, and not have it in a situation where the stuff piles up, because we record on this every week, so I can only have but so much sit here week to week. Mm-hmm. It's got to be able to, all right, this day to this day, which is nice to have a more forced schedule. Okay, this day to this day, I'm working on, I can do this, and then here's how the rest of that schedule lays out. So fun things, great things, good productive flow and feng shui.
Yeah, it's that thing. You get it separated apart. Now you can set it off and go.
Yeah. But yeah, what do we got on our docket tonight?
We got a couple of reviews.
Couple of news things, couple of discussion points.
Yep. First impressions on a TV show that I think a lot of people are looking forward to.
Oh man, the buzz off of that has been insane. I think I'll try and watch it tonight after we get done.
Yep.
Maybe not after either before or after my Beat Saber workout, because I do have a VR setup, so now I can actually play VR games.
Yep. The first episode is pretty long. It's about 89 minutes. But it's a good length for what it does.
Well, it's HBO. HBO is not restricted by anything when it
Nope,
comes to
they
that
kind of
time.
just do what they want, and it usually comes out gold.
Yeah. Oh, not to mention we had the new trailer for the Mandalorian season 3 drop.
Yep.
That's gonna be nice.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when he goes back to Mandalore. So.
Yeah. Oh, so I've been running my mouth on what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. What about you, Ryan? What have you been up to?
What have I been doing for the last 2 weeks?
What you been up to? What you got?
What I've been up to? Well, just mostly work and school has started back. So, I've had a couple classes. I'm not driving to campus this year because it's a telecommute. So I just opened up my laptop and watched the professor from home. Didn't feel like paying that parking pass. So I was like, I'm going to pick the choice to stay home and watch class. It's called Pocahontas Unleashed. So it's a Native American Studies class. And it dives a little bit deeper into the history of the Native Americans and the culture and the other stories that are part of it, because what is typical, but what is the actual stuff behind it. Yeah. And a lot of the stories that we started reading is starting to realize how people fantasize the idea, romanticize it because they want it to be a very positive kind of reflection. But when you realize that Pocahontas was only like 10 or 11 years old at the time, kind of makes you think back to like, okay, that's cool. But anyways,
yeah, maybe this wasn't such a hot idea.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but it's cool because you get to learn deeper dive into where we live, and I get an understanding of the area a little bit more. But other than that, games and movies. But did a little thing with you over the weekend.
That's right. We went to
the car show. It's the Hampton Roads International Car Show. They do it every year minus COVID time. And it's always in January. And they put out the new models for all the makes, mostly a lot of the dealers in the area. The only dealer that I noticed that wasn't there was Subaru, Nissan, and you mentioned Tesla. Yeah. So those three weren't there, but otherwise all the other major brands were there.
Yeah, and that was kind of fun. Definitely got some walking in.
Yep. I enjoy that because I always like looking at the different varieties, different vehicles, kind of get an idea what the car makers are aiming for. And just like last year, it seems like there's a strong emphasis on three things. There's a lot more electric vehicles this year than last year. The variety of electric vehicles is what really astonishes me because it's not just when you think of EVs, you think of you have a certain image in your head what you think of EVs. But when you're walking around that showroom floor, you notice that they have EVs in car models, SUV models, truck models, sports car models. So you're realizing the technology is starting to move a certain way. Another big emphasis I noticed is that there's not many cars being made anymore. It's either trucks or a variation of SUVs.
Which, that's not a surprise.
Yeah,
it's not really a
surprise. I was excited because there was one vehicle I wanted to see, which was the Ford Lightning, the Ford electric F-150.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of cool. Got to see that. And I noticed another thing that a lot of these vehicles, regardless EV or not, they have a lot of digital displays as their console. Not just their center console, because my car has that center console digital, but like the screen controls everything. So
I mean, it's always funny to see luxury cars had this stuff 10 years ago, and now we're seeing it in the everyday car.
Yeah, it's standard. Yeah. So everything that was luxury is standard. And
yeah,
it's just cool.
Is fun.
Yeah,
I think it's fun.
And I got a lot of pictures. I did post them up on the book face, tagged Scuba over in a few of them. So yeah, looking.
I haven't uploaded mine yet.
Yeah, so looking mighty good in that truck, that Ram though. You're like sitting proud in that one.
Yeah, I was looking at trucks. I'm still debating if I want to go back to a full-size truck or stay in the Jeep family for a new vehicle. But I think it's really gonna. The thing I know, and that's the nice thing about the car show, and that is, in fact, they had the big trucks, they had the full-size trucks, and could see which one I was comfortable in my current state.
Yep.
And it's definitely honestly, I think Ford and Chevy. Probably the two that are the most roomy in terms of the interior cab. I think I might go with a Silverado, maybe.
Chevy did have a lot of room. Ford had a good variety. I didn't really look at a lot of the other trucks. I was like looking at a lot of the SUVs.
Wasn't too thrilled with the Dodge this time. The Silverado was definitely nice. The 2500 series was definitely very roomery. I mean, it was the first truck I sat in, or first vehicle I sat in a long time, where I actually had to adjust the seat forward in order to sit in it comfortably.
Now
And keep that in mind. I'm 6 foot. I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
Most cars, trucks, whatever I get into, the first thing I do is sliding the seat back.
Yeah.
This one, it's oh no, I've got to slide it forward. It's like, I see where this is going. And it was very cool because it was the vehicle was on and he didn't realize it was on. I mean, the other thing I noticed is a lot of push button start. It's like, I don't think I saw anything with a key.
Nope, there was not a lot with keys. There was actually more vehicles I saw with either a dial shifter or a button shifter too. I mean, you still have the shifter, but like every vehicle didn't have a keyhole. It was a push start pretty much.
So I mean, that's the world we're going to, man.
Yep.
That's the world we're going to.
My last few vehicles, the current one, were push starts.
Now at the front, they had a little car show going on.
Yeah.
You're at a car show, but in the front they had like a judging thing. They had these classic cars that you could judge, you could put in your opinion for, or win a gas gift certificate or some goofiness. But they had some really nice ones. The three I liked the most was the classic Land Cruiser. I think it was a 1970s Land Cruiser. There was a 1930s pickup truck, and then there was a 1970s Bronco.
Are you talking about this one right here?
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah,
that one. It's like the 30s, the 50s. I think that was. Did you catch a picture of the tag in front of it? No.
No, I didn't get a picture of the tag, but.
Hey, I want to say that was 50s or 70s.
Yeah, it's in between there, 50s or 70s.
But it was a very cool little Land Cruiser. Of course, getting into looking at overlanding and Jeeps and stuff, that's where I'm going to look.
Yeah.
But overall, there was just so many vehicles to look at. It was very cool. Some of the color palettes and everything.
Yeah, I like that one. Between the two.
That Ferrari. Oh no, that was the Porsche.
Yeah, between the two Porsches, red and that yellow, I like that. Just because I kind
of the bumblebee colors.
Yeah, just because I kind of like do that in Forza. I always do that when I do my paint jobs. So yeah, kind of cool seeing it. But yeah, they did, like you said, emphasis on trucks. So.
Yeah. I still got a couple of years before I have to worry about buying one. So we'll see.
That's always a good thing about the car show. You can go in there, you can check, you can gauge, you can see a lot of the different variations between the different makes, and not worry about people running up to you like, hey. Trying to sell you something, No,
I think the thing right now with inflation and the interest rates being what it is like I'd like to focus on some other priorities.
Yeah.
I don't need a new vehicle right now.
Oh yeah, totally understand.
My current vehicles are paid off. My current vehicles work. So
if you see me vibrating, that means I'm knocking hard on the wood, people.
So I with that, so I'm not really worried about it.
That's all that matters. Is it paid off? Is it working?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see how things go. I know the other thing I'm looking at is like, if I do get one, I want to get one that I can definitely use for some long distance commuting. So since going back and forth to New York now on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
And this year we've got 2 trips on the books we're planning for New York. So we'll see how that plays out. Alrighty. So I think we're good there. So I guess we can go ahead and get into our reviews, eh?
Reviews of the 2 movies.
All right, we're going to start with Megan.
Yes,
a new
sir.
horror film about an AI gone bad because somebody told it to do something and didn't think about how literal the AI was going to take the instruction.
Yes. So Megan is a horror. I will say horror/comedy. That is another one from the famed studio Blumhouse. And if you know Blumhouse, they like to do films. They can make films, 2 cents they find in the couch, and make a ton of money from them. And this film is no exception. It's they went and they made this for $12 million. And just to look at the box office right now, it's at 96 worldwide. So yeah, it's making a profit.
96 million in its opening weekend.
Yeah. No, 96 total today to this date.
To date.
It made 30 million its opening.
It's been out 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's made 30 million its opening weekend, which is
not too shabby post-pandemic.
Yeah, so,
especially for a horror film.
Yeah, so like you said, this is a film that focuses on a doll, but specifically it focuses on the relationship between an aunt and her niece. So Gemma, played by Allison Williams, and Katie, played by Violet McGraw. She takes custody over her niece because of a tragic accident that happens with their parents. So she's kind of thrust into this role of parenting, but she's also a highly skilled tech data science engineer for this big conglomerate, and he decides is like, okay, let's go ahead and give her an attachment or some way to bridge her sorrow and misery by having her interact with this doll called Megan. And it's a AI companion that starts to get a little bit close to Katie, and because of that, when certain things happen, she goes on the prowl and starts people and things. So yeah, so going into this film, you have an idea of what to expect, but then what you expect, it gets subverted because of two things. One, the relationship and the dynamic between Gamma and Katie. You get to see this kind of parental and conflict between them, because she's not used to being a parent, and she's just trying to figure out her way to help Katie, and Katie's struggling with the loss of her parents. So it deals with this grief, loss, and this parenting and emotional connection, which leads into the doll. And the doll itself creates this infusion of comedy with this horror. So it's more of a horror comedy, and it entertains on that aspect because of the way that Megan does things and her witty conversation and dialogue she has with people. It infuses this experience of creative instinct looked at what is Megan and her purpose against the backdrop of Gemma and Katie's relationship.
I mean, I cannot fathom anywhere where somebody is not going to think this is just going to go completely horribly wrong when you make an AI and you say, protect this girl from all harm.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool because what could have hurt this film is leaning on to those cliches that you find in dolls going crazy.
Well, let's compare it against a couple of the bigger ones. We have Chucky.
Yep.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I mean, he had the witty comebacks. Yeah. He was but he wasn't an AI. He was a spirit trapped in a toy and all that, And then there's Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Which Ex Machina was an absolutely wonderful indie film talking about AI being self-aware and interaction with human people. So these are a couple of horror-ish movies that are that's on the surface have a similar premise.
Yeah, in a way, but it kind of diverges because there is this it takes a lot of those concepts, but instead of relying on those cliches, it focuses on that relationship, which allows you to breathe in this layer dynamic of a pseudo commentary on technology, parenting, and the emotional connections between trying to form a bond with someone you really don't have. And it's because of this doll, and that doll actually creates this interesting wedge that produces that comedy. So what I've liked about a lot of horror films in the last couple of years is that it's not just a straight shooter. It's not predictable. It infuses different elements to create a different dynamic. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a horror comedy. You're laughing a lot to a lot of things that are happening, and it actually takes away in a good way from all the cliches that you might have expected, but it doesn't happen as expected. So
okay. All right, so what are we calling it?
Overall, this is actually the first movie I saw this year, and is a great start for 2023 and a great start for horror films again. Because last year I said was the year of horror, and it looks like this might be another year for horror. So overall,
it's going to be a year of movies, period. It's you can't blink without a major film drop.
It deals with very familiar tropes, but in a way that is very refreshing and good. So this is another one from James Wan, who is known as the Horror King over in Blumhouse. So he helped write this story. So he gets creative, he gets unique, he takes the familiar and pushes it to a new level. 3.5 out of 5.
Not bad.
Positive review. I think a lot of people enjoy this.
Well, I mean, it looks like it's got some good production value, and it looks like they're trying something new. They're trying to not come across too cliche,
Yeah.
but adding the comedy element just kind of sits there, just gives you that double slap. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is really violent. Wait,
Yeah.
what did she just say?
Yeah, it's what she says, how she dances, kind of the like it knows, it's aware of what it is, and it plays off that commentary.
Totally.
Yeah.
And our second film for today is going to be A Man Called Otto. This
Yes,
is the
sir.
latest one by Tom Hanks.
Yes, sir. So A Man Called Otto, this is actually a film that's adapted from a foreign film, Swedish film, and also a Swedish book. And the book is called A Man Called Ov, OVO. So they changed that up a little bit.
So judging from the trailer, this looks like it's middle-aged individual, that Tom Hanks.
Yep.
In a neighborhood, and there's new neighbors coming in, and they are of a younger generation that is, from his reactions to their slice of life, are completely out of their in over their heads.
Yeah.
In day-to-day, in just life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's to me, that's one of the things that appeals to this.
Yeah.
Is that especially now that one of my kids is now living on his own and having some interactions and realizing that they are doing they are at times appearing like they're in way over their heads. And and of course he's got some baggage, he's got some history, he's not very friendly.
Yeah.
But because these people are just so in over their head, he helps them because he like any decent human being,
he feels obligated.
He helps, and then that turns into kind of the whole grumpy old man, the odd couple thing, where it's like, okay, he gets reintegrated into the neighborhood instead of being the standoffish person that everybody knows, but everybody's afraid to talk to.
Yeah, in a way, like the trailer does a good job of hiding a lot of the like meat and potatoes of this film. So it does not give anything away. I could say that the trailer is probably like 1% of what the film really is.
The trailer does set up an interest to watch the film. So if it's only giving you 1%, the film had to have a lot more in the background.
Yeah, there's a lot more girth than meets the eye. Transformers reference, people. But anyways, like you said, Otto, played by Tom Hanks, is this like broken old guy for some reason, and he's a curmudgeon. He interacts in certain ways and is always in constant conflict with people in his neighborhood and other people he interacts with. And then there's something in his backstory that start to get through flashbacks and other not. But before that, he's just an old guy who feels like there's nothing else worth to live for in this life and blah, blah, blah. And then the new neighbors move in, and what the new neighbors do, like you mentioned, is like they cause a wedge into his like rumpiness, and that contrasting interaction forms this unusual bond of friendship between the family, especially between Otto and Marisol, who's the wife. They form a really closer bond, and then he starts to what this leads into is a very typical feel-good movie, very predictable beats. So you got a lot of recycling of melodramatic moments, aloof comedy, and physical hijinks. You see some of it in the trailer. So you got these like witty one-liners, and then physical comedy and stuff that happens in between the dramatic moments. So it follows a beat-by-beat feel-good story. But what makes the film enjoyable is watching Tom Hanks' character interact with Marina's character, and you start to see that the curmudgeonness starts to melt away because she is very steadfast in trying to break and figure out why is he like the way he is. And then
I love those things where it's like, this is a battle of attrition and who's going to last longer.
Yeah. So that is what makes the film good, and it ties back to these flashbacks that you start to see the reason why he is the way he is, and eventually it doesn't move away from a lot of familiar stuff. There's a lot of, like, once you move into the second half, there are things, you've mentioned it before, where something is introduced, a thing, a person, or setting is introduced, and it doesn't try to develop any of it. It's just a point, and it all just converges on one specific moment. And I think that's what takes away from the levity of the film and the relationship that Otto forms with Marisol, and the reason behind why he is what he is. Even with that familiarity, it still kind of ends on a very poignant note because it is a feel good story. So you know what's going to happen. You know the old guy, the ice melts and he starts to open up and he starts to do things, and yeah. So it's your typical feel good movie with strong performances, but very, very heavily telegraphed. You're going to know how this movie is going to end.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
you kind of. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's kind of how Tom Hanks's films have been for a while now.
In the last couple years, yeah. I mean, but it's a good movie. It's a feel good movie. You enjoy it. It is a dime a dozen of this same kind of stuff, but they kind of change up the story from what it was in the Swedish version, because the Swedish version actually goes a little bit deeper and really? Actually elevates the character looks more. So it looks like, not trying to compare the two films, but you notice that Tom Hanks strips away a lot of stuff just to go along beat by beat. The typical feel good movie, to aim for that crowd that likes the feel good movies.
Hey, sometimes that's what we need. Yeah. We need some movies like that. Not everything has to be a big, summer blockbuster, edge of your seat. Heroics and shenanigans.
Yeah, I've mentioned that before in other films. Sometimes you just need that simple insert genre, whatever it is, and it's good. So 3 out of 5. It's a fun movie. Your parents will enjoy it. If you like feel good movies, definitely check it out.
Go check out ryreviews.com for more information on the different reviews and read them for yourself, and feel free to comment below on what you thought of some of them. Alrighty, back to the chatting.
Oh yeah. So those 2 movies out the way, it's going to be a little lull until we hit February. And if you heard me just, off mic, just naming all the films, you can kind of get an idea what I'm going to watch.
Oh, we got a lot going. We got a lot we're going to watch. There's a lot coming down.
Speaking about coming down, I caught the first episode of The Last of Us.
Yes, I meant to. I got a notification, but I was probably recovering from all the work around here.
Oh, it's all good.
I mean, it's weird because I got new shelving and increased my storage capability, and then it was like, okay, let me clean this stuff out. It's like, do I need this? Do I not need this? I mean, I threw away an extra. I had like 3 speaker sets hooked up for the computers. I'm like, I don't need this.
Sometimes you just realize you don't need all of it.
Yeah, so it's like, I haven't used this in 2 years or 3 years or 6 years.
Yeah.
I don't need this. Gone. Gone.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Vamos.
But I meant to watch it. I know I was really excited to watch it because it is probably one of the most anticipated series to come out.
Yeah.
And did not disappoint. HBO actually released an announcement not too long ago that this was their second best premiere in HBO's history.
Yeah, I think it had 4.6 million people watch it. Let's see. I'm bringing up the article from Collider. They said it did 4.7 million viewers across linear and HBO Max platforms. So,
so it's the second biggest. Which one is currently? Is it?
The largest is House of the Dragon last year.
So. But that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of people putting eyes on that show. But you can see why, because my impressions of the first episode, I've played the first game, at least 1/3 of the first game, never played the second. So there's a lot of story beats that I don't know. There's story beats I do know, at least in the beginning of the game. So going in the first episode, I kind of had an idea of what's going to happen. But even though they did a good job of elevating the experience and building off the narrative that was from the game and expanding on characters that you know from it, and the changes that they make, a lot of times people complain about changing from what is, but the changes actually elevate the experience. And the way that they introduce you into the world is the way I love storytelling, regardless of it being comics, TV, movie, whatever you want to say. They do the show, not tell method. And what I mean by this is that what they do is that they show glimpses of things. You get the experience from the perspective of a character or said characters, and they don't tell you, and they build the world through just visualization and experience. So just one thing, if it's a spoiler or not really. They're in the vehicle, and when the vehicle's driving off, it has a sticker indicating that they were in Desert Storm. They didn't have to go into a full 17-minute exposition of them being on the military field. Just by seeing the sticker and watching it worn down and watching how Joel and his brother interact, you get an idea. Okay, they're military men. This.
No,
just by that, just by doing that without telling, just by visualizing it, you get an idea.
Well, I think the other thing I was reading is also it's like they're not planning to deviate from the story.
They're not really going to deviate a lot.
So if you watch the story for The Last of Us, the first one, because that's going to be this first season is that first game.
Yeah.
And all of that, you're in for a really good treat because some of the things they're doing is they're not worried about retelling the story in a different way, but they're telling it and they're grounding it even better.
Yep.
Because there was a comment I read somewhere where it's like, okay, Pedro Pascal was like, look, a 55-year-old man is not going to crouch around as much as he does in the video game.
No.
He's going to be.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of realism of like an actual physical person, because obviously in games you can suspend a little bit of logic here.
Yeah, well, in games, they have to do things because it is games, but being that this is narrative telling in a TV format, they do a great job. Just to add on to your points, they do ground it. You ground it to the characters, they ground it to the emotions, and they produce tension in a way that feels organic, humanistic, and real. Especially in the first 15 minutes, you are so tensed up with what's happening that you just like, because you don't know what's going on. Well, you have an idea what's going on, but you don't know what's going on. And that perspective of even though you know, that's why the first episode is such a great introduction to a new series, because they're able to elevate it. Even when you know, you're still shocked and intense and emotionally pushed by all the experience. So in the second half, when they move forward in time, just like the game, they make a lot of different changes, but stick to the core essence of Joel meeting Ellie, and then what happens from there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna catch up on it. Season's just getting started.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So overall, good start. I think it's a good premiere for a brand new show, and it gets you hooked.
Yes.
So, and that's what I say. The 3 prongs in starting a new series: hook, layering, and go. That's how I call it. Hook, layering, and go. That's how I call it. If you can't hook me, then I don't even start. There's a lot of TV shows where it didn't hook me in the first episode, and I was like, move on.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I actually have an anime I could say that too. And there's a new anime on Hulu called Trigun Stampede. It's basically like a retelling of the Trigun and manga. Now I remember watching the original Trigun anime, and it was such great fun. This one, it's like I watched that first episode, and it's like it's not dubbed, so it's a little hard to follow. But if that's your thing, then it's your thing. But for me, it was a CGI animated film, a lot like some of the new Godzilla stuff that's on Netflix and things like that. Where it's like it has its place, but it's like you're not really seeing much mystery in it. It's like it's literally you remember back to the original anime. Sorry if you haven't watched it, but it did come out like 30 years ago.
It came out a while ago.
Original anime, you go through 90% of the show before you realize that he had a twin brother, and that they were colonists arriving on this planet, and then everything went sideways. In Trigun Stampede, that's where you start. And then you fast forward to Vash being the only one of the few people who knows how to work half this technology that's crumbling apart because nobody who knew how to work it survived the landing or whatever it was. So, but I just first episode, it wasn't much.
Yeah, it happens that way. I know it was on my list to check out because
give me your thoughts. I mean, I think it's because I have such fond memories of the classic anime and that classic style, and the way I'm thinking when I think of Vash, it's like this is how I think of him.
Yeah. It's like every year, you have your 4 seasons 4 quarters of different anime, so that was one on my list. But I can get what you mean by that classic anime. You're so attached to it. Me, it's Cowboy Bebop, so I had to separate myself when I watched that live action. So I totally understand what you mean. But I might watch the.
I granted I was a little late to the Cowboy Bebop thing, but I did. But yeah, there's definitely I appreciate the live action did what it could do to emulate the original anime, but it's the storytelling was just not on the same level.
Yeah, so I totally get it. It's hard to separate, but I'll check out the first episode and I'll give you my thoughts.
I think the second episode's out now too.
Okay, I'll check out both episodes.
But I was gonna try your thing. Give it 3 episodes. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not.
That's how I usually do it. That's my personal thing. There's only been one show that I've let me rephrase it. There's been 2 shows that I've not done that with. It doesn't happen, but it's usually 3 episodes where I give it a chance.
Yeah, I think even when I tried JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I still gave it at least a few episodes before I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Animes with the amount of anime I've watched in my lifetime, it usually takes at least 3 episodes. Especially the way they do storytelling in anime, it usually takes that.
Yeah, but alrighty. So Last of Us, gonna check that out. If you checked it out, please feel free to leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of it.
Did you like it? Did you hate it? Or are you just like, hey, just another one to catch up?
Yep.
But
Alrighty. So, well, state of game. There isn't a whole lot to talk about games.
No, I'm not really diverting. I'm just kind of waiting for Resident Evil 4 remake, and a few other games. I'm just waiting.
I think, like I said, I've been mainly playing. I hooked up and was playing the VR, specifically Beat Saber, because I wanted to do something that was a little more physically active. And I remember my friend who brought the VR over and left it here. It was he'd have days where it's like he really felt kind of worn out after playing it. And I gotta be honest with you, there are some of those songs it's like some song, like I've got like Linkin Park, Imagine Dragons. I just got the rock thing with like Steppenwolf and Kiss and stuff. But Linkin Park, Green Day, and Imagine Dragons. Listening to their songs, they're great. They have an impact.
They do their thing.
When you go listen to the same song and realize you add it to Beat Saber, where you realize you're trying to hit these color-coded boxes in time with the music, it's like, holy hell, what is up? It is fast.
Oh yeah,
it can get really fast, and you don't even think, and you may not think about it when you listen to the song, because the song may not feel that fast.
But it probably
But when you add it to something like this, it feels really fast. And then but I have to say my criticisms for Beat Saber are there's no randomized play.
Okay.
If you're solo, I would just like to hit random songs instead of having to constantly pick through. The other thing is no continuous play. Like if I want to go in and play solo, sit in there, hit start, whether I had a playlist or not, and it would just song after song after song. Instead of song, done, click, next. And last night when I did my time on it, I got about 50 minutes solid. I pretty much started at the first playlist bundle and went song. I was like, as soon as the song was done, it went to the menu screen, I just picked the next one.
Yeah.
And I just worked my way through. And it's like, but I would love a randomized playlist. I hear there's a couple of mods you can download from Steam to apply to Beat Saber, so you could do that. I haven't taken a look at it yet. I'll let you know. But, when it came out, it was like, kind of the thing. I didn't realize it was much of a thing until I watched Adam Savage video where he made lightsaber handles for his Oculus.
There you go.
And then he did some Beat Saber and things like that. And then, friend getting it and then bringing it over and played it. It was like kind of cool, but the living room, I went through a few iterations, so we can never really keep it set up. And then when I was redoing the studio, it's like, hey, I've got this new open area that's
right
a lot
there,
more
people.
open than it was. So I was like, all right, took some time, got the sensors figured out, got the mapping done, and now it's like, All I got, I'd push a chair to block off the entryway to the room so nobody can sneak up on me.
Yeah.
And then I can go.
The
other game I tried was the Talos Principle. That one is definitely going to be one to kind of get you, because the immersion aspect is great. But it's the puzzle solving is on a whole different level when you're using the VR versus using a controller. Because I played Talos Principle on PC, and it definitely works a little differently. I wish there were more games.
Yeah, that's the thing with VR. There's not a lot of choices, but
no, most of it's all first person shooter. It's like, I'm not interested in that. If I wanted to do that, I'd go play Quake or I'd go play Doom. I don't want to do that. I want to do puzzle things and stuff like that. So
it just takes the investment, and people are still hesitant to invest in it. So what? Hopefully.
Well, I mean, the PlayStation VR 2 is coming out. I'm thinking about getting that for home. Especially with the Horizon Zero Dawn VR game that's coming. And who knows, maybe we'll see. Right now, Beat Saber is solid because it's got great immersion and it's got some it's got some easy casual stuff to it. I'd love to play The Witness in VR. That a puzzle game like
that'd be interesting.
Kind of deal. But anyways.
Yeah, so no new games here. I'm just waiting. Resident Evil 4 remake. The Star Wars, the sequel to Jedi
Survivor.
Yes, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So I think that comes out around March. Both those games come around March or April. So expect some stuff on that.
Fallen Order just dropped on PlayStation Plus.
Well,
with a PlayStation Plus game.
Speaking of PlayStation, I'm still on the fence if I want to just get the God of War game for PS4 and play it. Might just do it.
Serious question.
Serious. Focus, people.
I've got a PlayStation credit card that when I would use it, I would get points at the Sony store.
Yes.
Recently, after not touching it for like a year, I went and checked. I have enough points to get a copy of God of War Ragnarok. I'm not sure if I should.
That's up to you. Are you going to find?
The thing is, it won't even take the majority of my points.
Yeah, the thing is, game is like a 40-60 hour game. You're gonna dedicate all that time to playing that game?
I'm halfway. I think I'm like halfway through the first one, and I haven't touched it in like 3 weeks, because it's like I'd like to, but I'm not in any rush.
Yep.
Like I just saw the trailer for the new Horizon DLC for Forbidden West, and I'm like, I need to finish that game. I haven't finished that one.
Yep. I don't have really any games that I need to finish. I mean, I could go back to beat Elden Ring, but I mean, I had that Strangers in Paradise, the Final Fantasy game, which that's not a game where I'm like in a rush. I go play a few hours and then come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm debating. I'm debating whether or not. Plus, I have plenty of other things, and I think one of the other things on my schedule planning is dedicating some time, because I've got friends asking me to log into our Valheim server that I host, but I haven't played it since I first stood it up a year and a half ago.
Oh yeah, that game is up on Xbox Game Pass. I might check it out.
Yeah, well, I've got a server I've running, so one of the things I wanted to test is, could I log into my game world through the Xbox version?
I'll be there.
I'm game. We can talk. But I need to do that. Now that I got my games set up in a new way, it's like I need to play them. I just haven't played them yet.
Yep. Even with school, I find I always have time.
So. But I'm getting into tax season.
Yeah.
Getting into tax season, which means my hours are going to go from like 8 a.m. to midnight.
Little time.
So I'm going to have time while I'm waiting for something to explode.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
Explosion!
I am waiting for things to explode. Not that I want them to explode, but I am available for them to explode. So it gives me.
But it's a good thing that nothing has.
Yeah, it's a very good thing, and my team is great.
Yeah,
my team is great. After a year of this is the way I want it to go. This is the vision I have. This is the progress. I'm seeing that start to
see people
show up and take fruition, and that mindset starts taking root. It's absolutely great. And I think one of my team was telling me, is like, look, we're getting into where it's not your busy season is like the in between tax season.
Yeah.
Our busy season is during tax season, because in between is when I'm really running around trying to get things in place so that tax season
here,
goes
plug
well.
it here, plug it here. Yeah.
And whereas they're like, okay, their go time is it's really hilarious. But I just got a new hire, so I'm learning the whole new hire process and getting this person onboarded and getting them started. And
the manager thing to do.
It's the manager thing to do, but it's just literally, it's like, this feels right, so we're gonna go in that direction, because I don't have a freaking clue what else I should do.
Just go.
Well, today was like 2 hours just getting their login so they could access the domain system. It was a pain in the butt. But because I couldn't see it, I couldn't understand what the issue was. Thankfully, one of the other guys helped me out and helped this new hire out. So tomorrow is going to be their, all right, training, working with people and getting through all this stuff. It'll be great. It's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It happens.
Alrighty, enough of me complaining about that stuff. Let's get into some news stuff.
Yeah, getting some news pieces that happened over the 2 weeks.
Oh wow, we're getting close to our hour mark, and we want to try to keep it around an hour. Why don't we say we pick one of these stories and let's talk about it? Which one? Right. Which one of these 4 stories do you want to? Shall we pick and have a discussion on?
Well, the discussion is going to be DD, so the news pieces are quick hitters.
All right, so do your DD. Time for some news.
Some news alerts. So everybody's familiar with Sierra Mist. It's a Pepsi product that a lot of us have drank over the years, but starting this year, the 1st of 2023, you say goodbye to Sierra Mist. So Pepsi Cola has announced that they are not making any more Sierra Mist, and they're going to replace it with a new brand called Starry. So hopefully this brand will be able to compete with Sprite, which is a Coca-Cola brand. So that's pretty much it. It launched in 1999, so it's been around for quite a while.
Starry's been around, or Sierra Mist?
Sierra Mist has been around since 99.
Yeah, that makes sense. It wasn't, it's really hard to put Mountain Dew against Sprite.
Yeah, so they tried to create the product to go against Sprite, but a lot of people like Sprite. So
all right, next item is CES 2023.
Yep.
The Consumer Electronics Show.
Yes, sir.
Where you get to see all the new kind of cool gadgety things. I know for years it was like, if you wanted to see what was trending with Android phones, you went to CES.
Yeah. So CES, they did happen in the last couple weeks of the new year. So a couple things that caught my eye was they're actually trying to do a flying car. They're going to have a new handheld that will compete with Steam Deck and Switch. There have been
flying car options since the 90s, dude.
Yeah, the Tesla of the Sea. So they're actually aiming to make a EV hydro boat. But the one thing that caught my eye is that Sony, everybody knows Sony, they make games, they make systems, they make movies, but they're teaming up with Honda to make a car coming out in 2026. That was the one thing that caught my eye on there. Anything that caught your eye skimming that thing?
Not skimming through it. There was some of the the TVs and video projection stuff. That Alienware laptop that's like the super thin gaming laptop.
I need that laptop.
I'm wondering how well the airflow is going to go, because that's always been notorious with game. Because obviously, when you're using a gaming rig, you're using some stuff that's trying to render at a pretty high fidelity rate. And if you have seen the 40 series cards, even the 30 series cards, because buddy of mine's got a 3080 or a 3070. It came with an extra mount to put in the computer to keep it from sagging. The card was so heavy, and it was like 3 inches thick. Now, most of your laptops are not that thick.
Yeah.
We haven't seen laptops that are 3 inches thick since the 90s.
Yeah.
So a laptop that comes in under an inch thick.
All I can think about is it, like when I see that, I think about that new Dell I bought, which is really thin. Or no, it's a Samsung laptop, which is really thin. So I don't know, but that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, even my MacBook Pro that I got last year in 2021 is like, if I run a game on this, you can tell the fan starts blowing, it starts getting really kind of uncomfortable and whatnot. And yet we're talking about a gaming laptop that is supposed to be super thin, super lightweight, but can run the latest games.
Yep.
What's the catch?
Yeah.
It's not it's a matter of physics at this point.
It's a wait and see approach. But yeah, you want to check out anything from CES?
The new folding tablet. I think there was a little gif of a person who's like, he's like, I'm gonna unfold it this way and then I'm gonna stretch it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. So you check out cnet.com. They have all the gizmos and gadgets that you can find there.
Yep. Alrighty.
All right. So our discussion is going to be on D&D. So let's start with the positive first before we head into this OGL controversy, and you can go into that a little bit more. But on the positive side, hey, so we know that a new D&D movie is coming out this year in March. But not only is that happening, but they have greenlit a series, a Dungeons and Dragons series, an 8-episode series is going to come to Paramount Plus. So Red Notice filmmaker Roshan Marshall Thuber wrote the pilot script and is set to direct the first episode of the series, which is in co-production between E1 and Paramount Pictures. So it's going to be a Paramount Plus exclusive series, and it'll be coming out relatively soon. So probably at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. So that's cool. D&D is expanding.
I like it. Well, I mean, that was the thing they're working toward now, which leads into the whole OGL.
OGL thing. So Deadline reported the article on Paramount Plus in the new series, but the OGL, I'm going to leave it to you. This is courtesy of GamesRadar.com. So take it away. What is this whole OGL?
The article that Ry added to our show notes is from Games Radar, but if you are in the tabletop space, the whole thing with this was pretty traumatic. But let's set this up.
Set it up.
In 2000, Wizards of the Coast put out their OGL, which is an open game license. This is basically a licensing for people to use aspects of the Dungeons and Dragons game to build modules and companions and creatures and whatnot that are not direct, that are compatible, but they're not. But it protects the actual intellectual property. Great example of this is in the miniature space. Wizards has a line of miniatures that they put out. One of the miniatures is called the Beholder. Reaper Minis also does miniatures. They have a miniature that looks like a beholder, but it is not a beholder.
Okay.
That's that gray area. So we have, and this OGL is why we have is literally how the game Pathfinder came to its existence, where Pathfinder was designed to be a kind of an offshoot of D&D, but using a lot of the older rules of D&D, and then it took on a life of its own. This is also where you get into a lot of other tabletop games that have been released, or all these third-party and freelancers who've put together this content. There's a whole website, DM's Guild, for instance, is dedicated to independent freelancers making content that you can use in D&D games. That it expands on the officially licensed content.
Yep.
So OGL's been around for 22 years.
Okay.
How it was in 2000 is how it was, or how it currently is right now in 2020, at the beginning of 2023. Hasbro and Wizards made an announcement that they wanted to update their OGL.
Okay.
And a internal document was leaked to a media person. I think it says in the article, somebody who's at IO9.
Linda Codigega.
Who took this document and took this information and released it to the world for all of us to consume. And it caused an absolute whirlwind storm.
Yeah.
Because now Wizards is claiming at this point that it was a draft. And it was not the actual change.
Yeah.
You know. But basically this was saying that it was going to it had very broad sweeping impact on the entire tabletop space.
Yeah.
One of the bigger things from the article that I was talking about is, okay, if you are a creator and you made over $750,000 off of your product using this OGL, you would then have to pay Wizards 25% of your profits as a royalty payment.
Yeah, that's what it says. 25% or 20% if funded through Kickstarter.
And which there are a lot of modules and things that are created in Kickstarter, funded, and then published, which is great. I mean, that's the beauty of these areas that have come up.
Yeah.
When you think about it, Kickstarter, miniatures, all these things in the tabletop space have all kind of spawned from people creating stuff using this OGL, because it was a very broad OGL at the time. And it would impact content creators, it would impact streamers, it would impact publishers, because part of it is like, okay, if you had previously published content, and that was under the old OGL, you have to sign an agreement, and that it has to comply with the new OGL. So there was no grandfather clause. On this, so it had the potential impact from what this draft article or memorandum changes to the thing caused such an uproar that the people were canceling their subscriptions to D&D Beyond. There was one website where there was so much traffic on people canceling their memberships, the website crashed.
Yep, it mentions that here in Games Radar.
There was open letters of of wanting this to be rescinded and walked back. The competing quote unquote competitor publishers, Paizo, who does Pathfinder, the people who did Alien, Tabletop, all these other ones, all released their own licensing agreements.
Yep. It mentions that here too. Yeah.
It could protect their content, and it has huge firestorm effect.
Yeah.
After a few days, Wizards walked it back, posted out a new blog post. I was actually reading through it right now, where they were walking back a number of their comments on this. And let's see, it's probably this one. Yeah, we're walking back several other comments on this, and basically they're trying to explain it as, okay, part of what they wanted to do is they wanted to prevent content makers from making content through the OGL that could be considered discriminatory and exclusive. If you've been paying attention to the space right now, they've been really focusing on inclusivity.
Okay.
Whether you all these different groups of people. I was trying to think of one, and it's like, I know if I said the wrong one, I wouldn't go over well. But it basically, the idea is to be more inclusive. Last year we had that big firestorm around Satine Phoenix and the toxicity of her professional circle outside of what you see in her public persona. It's all in the terms of exclusivity. D&D, they published a lot of stuff. There's a lot of playtest stuff out there right now. There's a lot of criticism or trying to streamline and take away the old, outdated terminology and thought process and inspiration for the characters. We saw that in some of the recent source books that were released last year, like Tasha's Cauldron and some of the others, where it's like you can change up your character creation to better fit your style. You don't have to fit this quote-unquote mold that's been around since the 70s. I get it. I understand that. But they walked that's what Wizards is trying to use as part of why they wanted to go some of this direction with the OGL. They walked back a lot of their major bits where it's like, okay, there is no royalty bit. This isn't going to, or anything that was previously published under the old OGL will still continue to be good. All the like if you read this article from IO9 and some of these other ones, you looked at the top 3 things that were just which would look like it would essentially kill this industry.
Yeah.
All 3 of those were walked back and rephrased in ways that would not be as dramatic. But I kind of agree with some of the thought on this, and it's the damage is done.
Yeah.
The confidence in the organization to not make this, the confidence is just not there anymore. Yeah. And I imagine you're with several people saying, as I think about it, I kind of agree. You're going to see less people making homebrew type content going forward because this was already put out once. It's that fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is not. This is I was thinking about the
tea leaves.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. This kind of goes with some of the big political controversy, like Watergate or the damn server or the classified documents in people's homes. It's like this feels like that. It's like the trust, the confidence, the thought that okay, you want to be inclusive, but these changes don't make you inclusive. They alienate other people trying to create in this space because the space is has been very welcoming for the last 20 plus years of freelancers making content.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like, when you break that trust in a community that's been held together steadfast by this, and it's been built up and all this creativeness, to go back and say, hey, we're just going to slash without any input, you're going to get this kind of fallout.
Oh, the fallout is obscene. Yeah. I mean, bunch of people. I mean, and the thing is this is one of those. It travels to a lot of spaces.
Yeah,
and
D&D goes deep.
Well, D&D goes deep, but it's the fact that people were looking at some of the major players in the space.
Yeah.
How would they be impacted? And it would be and what the thing was talking about was like, okay, if all of a sudden you got to pay me 25% royalty because you've used this content and you've used this license to make content that is earning you serious coin, the fact that royalty payment, as high as it is going to impact bottom line and budgets. And when you look at a lot of these people are freelancers, this is literally how they're getting their start in this space.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, it's just now I feel like it is one of those things. It was just like a fart in church. I mean, it did not. This league was bad.
Yeah, it did have big ramifications because even people that aren't heavily in D&D, like when this league came out, it exploded on all different forums, and anything touched gaming, it was all over everything.
Because it impacts video games, it impacts tabletop games, it impacts Kickstarter, it impacts streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, huge octopus of influence.
Yeah. Like you make a heavy change, even if you don't. To make a heavy change, you gotta at least inform.
Well, there's heavy change, and then there's let's just nuke the site from orbit.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah, this looked like they went beyond that and just dropped boom and a boom a boom. Yeah.
This wasn't okay. This wasn't a subtle thing.
Yeah.
Some people could go about it. We've seen that with other things. Like, let me do a subtle thing. Let me make a little tweak here.
Yeah.
And a little tweak there. A little tweak here.
Yeah.
A little tweak there. Next thing you know, Mark Zuckerberg is up in front of Congress going, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Low blow. Sorry.
Skadoosh.
or like that. But Wizards wasn't subtle on this one. And all indications is that document was not a draft. That was literally the plan they were about to publish, but somebody put it out early.
Yeah.
A whistleblower put it out early for the world to consume, and it was like,
hey, put this out there now.
it's like it's like almost like the Enron thing again, or some. There's a lot of comparison. This news feels like the impact on this feels like it is from some of these other major
housing bubble bust,
public figure embarrassments.
Yeah, it happens, but it was one of those big things, and now, like, even if they backtrack, like you said, that crushing is out there now. The confidence is broken. Down. Yeah, it's gone.
How long and what is going to be the long-term effect? Because this isn't a canary in a coal mine situation. This is literally was like a Mount St. Helena explosion of change.
Yeah, it's that 9-point earthquake you
never
thought would happen. And now we have
to see how this is going to fall out later.
Yeah.
So we can go on and on about it. Look it up, read up on it yourself. I didn't give much thought to the OJO because I don't have a lot of homebrew content.
Yeah.
But as far-reaching as this could have potentially impacted, and we still don't know what the end-all be-all resolution is going to be. They're still working on this because it hasn't been officially been changed yet, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I accept it. But
I don't think it's been changed.
All indications,
yet.
This is still an ongoing conversation.
Yep, because people are trepid, so changes are coming.
And it's like, okay, how much is this really going to be worth it? So,
yeah.
Alrighty. So yeah, that let us run long, and we're running a little long, but hey, let's hit those odds and ends and close up shop for the day.
All right.
Need something funny.
All right. So you want to do all of them? Okay.
I've been talking for the last 15, 20 minutes, man. You can talk.
Oh, that's what I said. I can. Okay. So I'm going to just run down the list and do a speed demon. So, all right. So everybody has devices where you can talk in Google, Alexa and stuff. But so for Alexa, and Amazon is bringing something cool to their Echo devices. They are bringing Hey Disney voice assistants to it. So when you do the Disney stuff, it's going to have Disney voices from all different things like Mickey Mouse, Pluto, Dory from Finding Nemo, and Olaf from Frozen will be some of the voices you can use on your Echo devices. So that'd be cool for you, right? You got an Echo device?
Yeah, okay, I've got a few of them.
All right, so you can put like Olaf or Dory on there.
I kind of like Olaf.
Okay. Next article. Well, strange things happen in strange places, usually Comic-Cons. And this article from Screen Rant is actually, it goes into a lot of things, but Hugh Grant, who's going to be in the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, he was at Comic-Con to promote that film. He describes an unsettling experience where he was being stalked by not just anybody, but somebody in a hot dog costume. So, quoting him from the Screen article, there was only one person at the convention who really loved me, and he was dressed for the whole 3 days as a hot dog. And he followed me wherever I went. I couldn't shake him. Do you remember the hot dog? I was terrified. I still have nightmares about him. So, yep. He is going to be terrified by a hot dog for his rest of his life.
Wow.
All right. Next up, we all have things that we collect, and everybody here that follows the podcast knows I collect Funko Pops like they're going out of style. Well, another person who likes Funko Pops is not only a rapper of fame, but also fame from California, Snoop Doggy Dogg. He decides to, in his hometown of Inglewood, to open up a Funko Pop shop called The Doghouse. So, quoting him from this article from 2urbangirls.com, this new store stays true to who I am as an entrepreneur and rapper, and he can't wait for people to experience it. So it's going to have pops related to him, so you get to get Snoop Doggy Dogg pops and other kind of memorabilia from this store in Inglewood. And it's cool because it's entrepreneur in his village.
And it looks like a convenience store.
Yeah.
That I think is pretty cool. It looks like when you look at this, it looks like a convenience store. It's like, where you would think to see the cold drinks and stuff like that. That's just where all the shelves for the Funko Pops. It's got the little islands in the middle, and then of course, it's got this football field type thing on the.
Which is interesting. Which is, if you know Snoop Dogg, he has his own football team, so it gives a good idea, and also it brings a bridge in the community and brings some life back.
I think that's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And last but not least, this is from the Huffington Post. Well, people like to put props in their yard for Christmas, and this one prop caused a stir in Shepherdville, Kentucky. So, in Shepherdville, Kentucky, dispatcher got a terrifying call, saying that this woman saw a male standing outside. He is naked. He has a robe covering part of his body. He is exposing himself, and he has a hose between his legs. Gosh, what could it be? So the officers arrived at the house, and they got a little chuckle out of it, because it wasn't just some random crazy person running around naked in the neighborhood. It was actually a mannequin, a lookalike of Cousin Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So, and only thing that could be said by the homeowner is that everybody has a Cousin Eddie in their family. I just want people to have a good Christmas and get a laugh. And that's what the responders did. They took a couple pictures and got a good laugh.
That's fun. That is really funny.
Yep. So even in the new year, we still get a Christmas cheer and a laughter in 2023. So there you go. There's your funny for the day.
Yeah, that's definitely a good funny.
Yeah.
And with that, that kind of buttons that up for us this week. So,
all right.
Yeah, now it's time to get this thing edited and uploaded to all the podcast networks and YouTube. And we will. So real quick, shout out and a thank you to Sirenscape for the background music and soundboards we had during the podcast when we had breaks in the conversation. Go and check them out at Sirenscape.com for more information. Check out their digital library of great sound effects for your tabletop experience. Be sure to give us a like and a review on wherever you get this podcast. We greatly appreciate it. It helps keeps us moving forward. If you would like to do more, we do have a Patreon. It is very quiet right now. It's how it is, because things have been really kind of busy and whatnot. But we do have a Patreon. You can add some support there if you want to. If not, the best thing you can do is like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those things as you watch this. If you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a like, give us a comment. Tell us what you think, even if it's just to say, hey, how you doing? Just feed the beast of the algorithm.
Feed us.
Yes. Thank you to Ry for another evening. Thank you for being patient while I had to get this place cleaned up.
I know. I'm patient. I'm pretty good.
Now it's a pretty cool hangout.
Yeah, it's like, look at this. Can't reach, but I'm over there.
Yep.
I can touch him.
Yeah, he can touch me.
I can touch him.
Yeah, you can see. You guys see this. See.
Oh.
All right. With that, y'all have a great night, great weekend. Stay safe, love each other, and we will see you on our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Peace. I had a feeling you liked that Cousin Eddie one.